Trans rights are human rights.
Tonight, more than 100 rally in response to a professor's lecture at the University of Winnipeg. The story just ahead.
This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Thank you for joining us. We begin in northern Manitoba, where crisis workers are in St. Teresa Point after the deaths of 2 young teens. It is a tragedy that leaders say impacts the entire community. CBC's Brittany Greenslade reports.
It's a small northern community that's been left in mourning. The deaths of 2 14-year-old girls Wednesday morning has those in St. Teresa Point First Nation struggling.
It is very devastating, and especially to the families and the students.
RCMP say the 2 teens were taken to the nursing station after being found outside a home at 8 a.m. The temperatures had dropped down to a frigid and unforgiving -23 overnight. Police believe weather played a significant role in their deaths and say they weren't dressed for the conditions.
The investigation is kind of siding on an exposure type fatality. We want to confirm, though, with the autopsy to make sure there's nothing else that could factor into why both these girls were found outside.
RCMP say they're still trying to piece together where the girls were in the hours before they were found, but tell CBC News they were with a group of friends the night before. Crisis response workers have flown into the community to offer supports. With just over 3,000 people living there, everyone is connected, which makes these deaths hit even harder.
It's hard to lose one, but then when you lose 2 the same age in the same way, it's the families, the community wants answers.
RCMP say they hope they can provide some quickly. Brittany Greenslade, CBC News, Winnipeg.
I want to bring you some news just in. 20 people are out of their homes tonight after a fire on Furby Avenue. Not a lot of details here yet, but we can tell you 3 people were assessed by paramedics. A firefighter was also taken to hospital with minor injuries. We have an update to a story we brought you last night. The Winnipeg Regional Health Authority says it never had any plans to discharge an elderly patient to a homeless shelter. The family of an 83-year-old retired nurse says the Victoria Hospital threatened to send her to the Main Street project. The WRHA says the patient in question is not homeless and there were never any plans to send her to a shelter. A rally for LGBTQ safety took over the front lawn of the University of Winnipeg this afternoon. It was held in response to a professor's lecture which some worried could contain transphobic themes. Josh Crabb was there.
Trans rights are human rights.
More than 100 people attended the rally Friday over the noon hour on the grounds of the University of Winnipeg. It was organized by the Student Association's 2S LGBTQ+ director, Brie Villeneuve, in response to a lecture given by a political science professor.
I ask, where do you draw the line between academic freedom and the safety of your students?
A poster advertised the talk titled The Commodification of the Human Body, The Case of Transgender Identities by Joanne Boucher. It stated the lecture would include a focus on economic interests involved in transgenderism, a word members of the trans community view as a red flag and one they do not use. Inside the school, another show of solidarity. People shared readings, support, and ate cupcakes.
The University of Winnipeg says it didn't cancel the talk because it's committed to fostering an environment where freedom exists to question and discuss issues using a respectful and scholarly approach. But the professor who organized this gathering in response to that talk going ahead says academic freedom is no justification for allowing it.
Boucher declined an interview. CBC observed her talk, which was moved online by the university to minimize disruptions on campus. The professor was asked if she was concerned about holding her talk amid legislation in the U.S. seeking to restrict or ban access to trans health care. She told the audience academics have a right to study things they want to study, but that reasoning doesn't sit well with student Indy Dufour, who wanted the talk canceled.
We've been panicking over this because the last thing that we want is for people to be hearing this.
The organizer of the rally now wants a meeting with the university to discuss the harm they say the talk has caused the trans community. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, a new film tells the life story of Jean Augustine, the first black woman to sit in Parliament. And a group of kids from across Manitoba got the opportunity to meet her this week in Winnipeg. Chidi Ukuma has more.
Chairs creak as the audience rises to their feet. Jean Augustine stands front and center, taking it all in. Her documentary, Steadfast, has just finished playing.
We must know each other's story so we could learn.
The 85-year-old has been waiting to tell her own story. Born in Grenada, Augustine came to Canada in 1960. While working as a teacher, she noticed gaps.
I wish to move the following motion without debate.
Wanting to create change, Augustine shifted to politics, eventually becoming the first black woman in Parliament in 1993. There, she created legislation that officially recognized Black History Month in Canada.
Canada is a wonderful country with great people, and it's important for us to know each other's story.
12-year-old Misha Palkowski was at the private screening. She hadn't heard Augustine's story before.
I really thought it was empowering because I am transgender, and this woman was up there talking about women and black people, and I thought, as she said, we need to continue to work so that everybody is included.
A new generation inspired. Chidi Akuma, CBC News, Winnipeg.
This year's Winnipeg Folk Fest lineup is now out. Among the headliners, American indie folk band Fleet Foxes, The War on Drugs, and William Prince, Manitoba's own, are slated to perform alongside a number of Manitoba and Indigenous talent as well. Over 60 artists will take the stage over the 4-day festival. Let's have a look at downtown Winnipeg tonight. It was spring-like in southern Manitoba today, but the north is getting a bit of snow. Meteorologist John Sauder has our weekend forecast up next.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. The trade and upgrade event is on now.
I certainly hope you had a chance to get out and enjoy the sunshine today, at least here in southern Manitoba. We did have a little bit of snow across the north, between 2 and 5 centimeters. Some locations picking up just a little bit more, and that snow will continue to taper off as we get into the overnight across northern Manitoba. Looks pretty cloudy here on Futurecast, and it did yesterday when it looked at today. I think it's a little bit pessimistic at this time of year. I'm expecting a lot more sunshine than this on Saturday, especially on into the afternoon, although in the north we'll just have little bits of light snow here and there. I think the chance of light snow across most of the north is only at about 30, maybe 40%. So generally a cloudy day across the north and a sunny day across the south, and temperatures will be in that -1 range across most of southern Manitoba. Sunday, we start the day with cloud, and then we end up with a sun-cloud mix, and then more cloud rolling in for later in the day. Now, with the clear sky tonight, -13 in Winnipeg, and then in the morning, -12. Light winds on Saturday with that -1, and the sky should look just like that. Then in the long range, we're at -3 on Sunday, and we turn the corner toward slightly cooler weather next week. Very windy day on Monday.
Thanks, John. And that is your late news for this Friday. Thank you for being with us tonight and this week. Have a great weekend, and we will see you again on Monday. Good night.